Well, thank you for joining us for episode number 9 of the Roar Rundown Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Gay, joined by my co-host, Zach Cloud. Thank you for joining us. And last week wasn't particularly the best week in Ouachita athletics.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things, football lost to Harding for their first, hopefully
loss
only
on the
loss,
season.
yeah. And then volleyball went 0-2 on their weekend, and soccer lost a couple more games. Just wasn't particularly a great weekend. This week was a lot better. Ouachita back in the win column after defeating Arkansas Tech. And then volleyball had a good week, too. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But let's talk about football against Arkansas Tech. Now, Ouachita, 31-24 win. A lot closer than a lot of people imagine. Got to give a little shout-out to the Wonder Boys quarterback, Tay Gatewood. He played outstanding. He was giving Ouachita a lot of problems. He had just under 300 passing yards. He only did have one passing touchdown. He did get he picked off once, but he did have 54 yards on the ground. But a couple big headlines out of this game, and none bigger than Kendel Givens. If you haven't heard by now, you're about to. He has finally hit the mark. We've talked about it pretty much all year long. He needed to hit 50 to become the new rushing touchdown leader in Ouachita history. He's got 51 after a 3-touchdown performance and 181 yards. That was a career high anyway.
Oh, yeah.
And on just 24 attempts, and just an outstanding performance. But he hasn't even played a whole 3 years left.
51 and counting. We got the rest of this season. Who knows what will happen next season? He's in great shape right now.
Exactly.
That's for sure.
And I actually got a chance to talk with Kendel about golden number, I guess 51. 50 was the golden number, but let's make it 51. So let's check that out right quick. I'm Chris Gay, and I'm joined by Ouachita's new career rushing touchdown leader, Kendel Givens. Kendel, thank you for joining me today. And over this weekend, you just hit 51 career rushing touchdowns. The 50 number was the golden number, you beating out TJ Cole, who had the previous record at 49. How does it feel now being on top of sort of a leaderboard where there's so many other great running backs that have played for Ouachita?
Man, it's a blessing, man. God is good. God has been faithful to me, and like I told you earlier, man, that's just a smidget of what He's done in my life, and so I'm grateful. It's really like a team accomplishment. I got to celebrate with my teammates and my family, and so my family was there to watch it, And truth be told, man, I was really worried about getting the win. We were in a tight ball game. So, but man, yeah, it feels good, and it's all credit to my teammates and God.
Well, you came in as a freshman, and you had 23 rushing touchdowns. And did you see sort of when you first came onto the field for Ouachita, did you expect, I'm getting 23 this year, and then I'm going to be the all-time rushing leader for Ouachita?
Man, if I'm honest with you, my mom has always told me to speak things into existence. And so I got here, and the running back coach at the time was Peyton Morris, and I asked him to print out all the records. And my senior year of high school, when I knew I was coming here, Brockton Brown had just set the GAC rushing record, right? And it's funny because I still have the post in my phone. I sent it to myself on Twitter, and I told myself I'm gonna get that one day. And then I asked Coach Morris to print out those records, and I circled the top 2 in every category that deals with my position. And so I don't know if anybody else saw it coming, but not saying that that's what I play for and I was chasing that. I wasn't really chasing that, but that's just one of the accomplishments that I wanted to, set out to do. And so I mean, to answer your question, see it coming. I mean, I work hard, you know what I'm saying? And so that's just, hard work and dedication right there. So
TJ Cole, of course, your teammate from last couple years, he had the record. What did he say after you broke it?
He congratulated me and told me to keep going. Before he left, he was like, "Man, don't break all my records, man." Yeah, man, he congratulated me and told me to keep going and told me just good luck in the next one because, that's the most important. And so he was just, joking around with me a little bit. But that's my guy. Yeah, he told me congratulations.
Well, I think coming into this season, some people had doubts about the offensive line because Hunter Jackson, Anthony Sherez, Peyton Stafford all graduated. Some people were like, well, is it really going to work the same way it has in the past? And I think it's pretty safe it has.
Let me tell you something. Man, those guys up front put in so much work. Oh, my goodness. So much work. And watching them improve week to week, and not to bring up the Harding loss, but I was so proud of those guys up front. Even though we lost, I went up to each and every one of them and I told them, I'm proud of you. And so and when we hear, right? We hear everything that people say about that group, and that's just continue to prove people wrong, and we prove ourselves right, and even if it's like that, while they're in school, the rest of the time for the rest of the season, that's okay if it's like that, because if we're the only ones that believe, that's okay. But I'm so proud of those guys up front. And my success is their success, and their success is my success. So we move as a unit, and I'm proud of those guys. And Coach Shockley, man, he does a great job. Oh my goodness, does a tremendous job with the offensive line, and he gets those guys rolling and gets some confidence, and and we try to pound the rock as usual. So I'm proud of those guys up front.
Oh man, it's working. And speaking of guys that are able to find some success, Riley Harms.
Yes.
He, he's having a career year, but you're even having a career year in the passing game, something that previously not all Ouachita running backs had been super involved with, but that's sort of the tide's kind of changing. Now you're the number 4 receiver on the team.
That me and Riley put in some work this summer, man. We really worked on that, and we tried to make that an emphasis coming into the season. Getting everybody involved in the passing game, everybody they know us as a rushing threat, you know what I'm saying? And if we can get people off of us a little bit in the passing game, making sure people actually have to cover, I know that's going to open up everything else for the receivers. And, man, I'm having some fun out there catching the rock a little bit. But, no, man, that's credit to some work that was put in this summer and conversations had with Coach Derb and him trusting me in the passing game, I thank him for giving me an opportunity to even be out there, catching the rock. So that's just credit to some work that we put in this summer.
All right. So not only rushing in the passing game has been great for you, or receiving game, that is. All right. What does this number mean to you? 100, 100. What does that mean in your mind?
A lot.
Okay, well, specifically what I'm thinking of is your completion percentage. You are statistically one of the best passers on the team. Are you going to give Riley a run for his money coming down for the rest of the season? I mean,
man, I hope you don't jinx me. I hope you don't jinx me, man. I teased him, man. We were at East Central, and I teased him, and I said, "Yeah, brother, my completion rating is his percentage is a lot better than yours." He was like, "Yeah, off a toss pass." We kind of joke around like that, but man, I hope I can keep that number going. Hope I can keep that number going. That and in the pass game, man. I hope I can keep that number going.
And was that off like Wildcat formation or?
Yeah, that was out of Wildcat right there.
Yeah, and you're pretty deadly out of the Wildcat. I imagine that kind of threw – I know it only went 1 yard, but I know that – I had to drop that in there. But I know it probably threw some things off. But, coming into college, and you've played a lot of Wildcat. You and TJ both played a lot of Wildcat. Did you have any experience in that role like in high school?
We did a couple of Wildcat packages. We didn't really – we were more like true spread. And so catching the ball, I did a lot of that in high school. But catching a direct snap, I really didn't do a lot of that in high school. So a lot of people just think it's get back there, catch a snap, and it's kind of, a lot more than just that, But, yes, I had to work at that when I first got here, calling the cadence, being loud, especially like when it's a big game and a lot of people are there, you have to be loud, So being loud, calling the cadence, being comfortable back there, it was new to me when I first got here. And so I kept at it, and here I am, Wildcat back. So,
Yeah, and best passer on the team. Yeah. Okay. Speaking of cadences, do you have like a special one? Like Peyton Manning's was Omaha. Do you?
No, no, I don't. I call the cadence with the play, and that's it, man. Omaha is crazy. No, we don't really. We don't really have a special cadence. You just kind of have to learn the cadence, call it, and run the play. Yeah.
Well, you don't want to tell me all your secrets. You guys still have 3 games left in the season. And speaking of those last 3 games, final game of the season, Henderson State. Everybody's going to be talking about that. And got to ask, is Henderson State Ouachita a better rivalry than Little Rock Christian and Pulaski Academy?
Yeah, man, I that's a hard question to answer. The Henderson Ouachita battle, man, that rivalry is rich and is deeply rooted and is historic. I don't know if I can place Little Rock Christian PA over that one. Little Rock Christian PA is so fun though, man. Going in that week, in high school we played them the same week that we played them in football, we played them in volleyball, and so we would always go to the volleyball games and hear them chant. If we win, we chant back, and that's just a fun, man. It's a fun rivalry, and so is Henderson Ouachita. So I think just because of how historic it is, the Henderson Ouachita rivalry is, I think I have to say Henderson Ouachita.
Have you been able to catch a couple volleyball matches this year?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they've been balling lately.
They've been balling, yes. We always go. We try to catch the volleyball games out after football practice, and so if we can get in there, man, we go.
Yeah, I've heard y'all, going in there calling games. Y'all are loud. Y'all make that building even louder than it already is.
We try to be loud, man, clown a little bit in there.
Yeah, well, it works. But now, without telling me too much and giving away too much, why did you come to Ouachita? I'm sure you had other suitors.
Man, that story is it's a fun one to tell because I really was not trying to come here, honestly. I tried to run away from Arkadelphia, and man, I kind of talked with my mom, and my mom was like, "Son, I think you should do it." And so I ended up committing on my official visit. I ended up committing, and Coach Knight and I, we talked about some things as far as, the type of man I'm going to be when I leave here, and the type of education I'll get while I'm here. And the main goal is to graduate, you know what I'm saying? And so the graduation rate here, as not even just a program, but just the university, so good. And man, God just tapped me on my shoulder, telling me to be here. Man, I had 3 offers out of high school. I had Henderson State, Ouachita, and a junior college, and I wasn't really trying to go to junior college. And Ouachita was the front runner just because of the success they've had. And so, man, it was kind of like me not being able to outrun God's will for my life. And when I finally just submitted to His will, and I said, yeah, Coach, I'm committing here, and everything has been everything ever since I got on campus. So I think I've made a pretty good decision.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here, not at Henderson. You'd be killing us, Battle Ravine. But also something else you're doing here at Ouachita. You're part of Ouachita Sports Digital Network.
Yes.
I know after college, I'm sure pro route is probably something you're going to want to pursue, especially since TJ had a little bit of success with it, and I know you got a whole another year left. So, but is there anything in media that, because you are an OSDN and you've done a lot, is there anything in that sort of direction that you'd want to do?
Yes, honestly. After I'm done playing, man, I want to play as long as I can play, But after I'm done playing, man, doing something like this, man, sitting down, conversating with people. I think the best way to know about somebody is to communicate with them, and I think that's pretty fun, and I can talk a lot. Yeah, man, getting in front of a camera, even working behind the camera, but getting in front of a camera would be so fun after I get done playing. And even if I have to go, the teaching route to teach a communications course or a media course at a high school, I'd love to do that too. But yeah, I want to try to get my foot wet a little bit in the media world. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've done some basketball commentating, and I think you and I did a game last year, and that was a lot of fun. Are you going to do a little bit more of that?
Absolutely, I plan to. Yeah.
All right, great. Because I'm decent on color, but I mean, would you ever want to try your hand at play-by-play?
No.
Are you sure? Come on, man.
No. You guys are top notch at doing that.
Because once Chase and we're gonna graduate.
Yeah,
we're gonna have somebody.
You and Chase, y'all. That's y'all's field, man. That's y'all's world. I'm just living in it, man. I'm the background for y'all.
I got you. All right. Last little thing before I let you go. a little bit of free advertising for you. You and Everbowl in Little Rock, who is amazing, by the way. You have your own bowl, the K-Give Bowl, there in Pleasant Ridge or Pleasant Valley, wherever it is, there in Little Rock. How did that come about?
I was at the Shootout of the South 7-on-7 tournament at Pulaski Academy, and one of my I'm really good friends with him. I've grown to know him a lot more these past couple of years. But he and I had a conversation, and he kind of joked that me coming in the store a lot, because when I first had it, man, I was going in there and I spent probably like $30 in 1 week at that place, and so he kind of joked at it, and I kind of took it serious. I was like, hey man, that'd be really, really cool. It'd be a cool, fun opportunity, and so I kind of jumped on it, and I texted him that night and was like, hey, I'm serious about that, if you are. And so, man, we sat down and worked some things out, and we talked some business and got some stuff done, and here I am now, with that family, and those people. Man, those people are nice, man. Those people are some really, really top-notch people, and they've accepted me and embraced me, and so I'm really grateful for them.
All right, so last question I have. As I mentioned, 3 games left in the season. Coach has been telling y'all a lot. What's one thing that is in each one of your minds as you head into, because y'all trying to win out, go to the tournament.
Yeah.
So what's something that's in your minds?
The next game is the most important game. You brought up the Henderson game, and a lot of people will look past the next couple of opponents and just look straight to Henderson, and we can't. We can't as a team. So the next game is the most important game. Treat everybody the same, and make sure we focus in on the details. Because if you don't, you can lose, right? In the GAC, anybody can beat anybody on any given day, and so just making sure we. Keep dotting our I's and crossing our T's and making sure everything is everything on the field. But, yeah, man, just keeping everything, the same and treating everybody the same, and make sure that we're focusing on details. I think that, when we do that, a lot of good things happen for us, and so going into each week, treating everybody the same and making sure that that's the most important thing that week, So this week, SNU is the most important thing for us. So, yeah.
Yep, SNU on Thursday.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird Thursday game, but, you're at 51 rushing touchdowns. Can you make it 60, 55?
Man, we can try, man. I'm going to try to keep it rolling, man, and get
All
there
right.
60, yeah.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for joining us, or joining me. This is Kendel Givens, your new Ouachita rushing touchdown career leader. Thank you so much, and good luck on Thursday.
Thank you.
It was great getting a chance to talk with Kendel, and some of the things that he had talked to me about was they just were not happy with their performance against the Wonder Boys. It was certainly better than, the previous performance against Harding. Of course, a win, is always great. And then Kendall's record was awesome. Another record, Coach Todd Knight has hit 150 career wins. So congratulations, Coach Knight. And also, what better than to get a win with brand new jerseys?
Yeah.
They had I had heard,
good.
yeah, they look great. The striped helmets looked a little weird with some of their jerseys.
You can tell they're trying to pull off like a Cincinnati Bengals type.
Yeah,
look,
but they needed the new jerseys,
Yeah.
and that was something they needed. I had heard that they had ordered them, and they were just a little late coming in. A little late as into week 8 was when they made their debut. But they look good, and they got the win and the new jerseys. But like I said, they weren't exactly pleased with that performance. They had a great game on the ground, 235 yards total rushing, and only allowing 63 for Arkansas Tech. But one thing that immediately jumps out to me is third down conversion. OBU was 4 of 11. And now Arkansas Tech was under 50% as well, but they were 8 of 17.
Mm-hmm.
Third down conversion, that's something we're supposed to be – that's something we've been good at. This is probably the worst number we've seen.
Yeah, it was good to see. We went for it on fourth down twice, and we got it both times. So that kind of helps, on top of our third down conversion. But, yeah, I think it was uncharacteristic of us. Still ended up in the win column, but it was definitely something we're not as used to seeing.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of improvements that I know they're going to be making in practice, and they have a weird Thursday game against SNU on, as I mentioned, Thursday in Bethany, Oklahoma. But Ouachita was down for most of that game, and Kendel Givens was really the hero.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, the defense played really well. We had multiple guys get double-digit tackles, but Kendel Givens had 2 touchdowns very late in the game. I think he had one maybe at the 8-minute mark, and then he had one at the almost the 3-minute mark, and that was eventually the game-winning touchdown. And then, of course, getting them to 51, and then but we talk a lot about how Givens was definitely the big-time playmaker this game, but honestly, Connor Flanagan was pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he had 8 catches for 81 yards. I'm pretty sure the same exact amount of catches he had last week. I think it was 8, but he had about half as many yards. Harding was really able to expose us. Harding's defensive backs came to play that week, but this week it was really good to see we returned back to form. Connor Flanagan, he played really well. Kendel Givens, on top of his big game, he had 3 catches for another 33 yards. So he ended up with over 200 all-purpose yards this game. That's great. A number that really jumps out is Bo Baker. He's a new guy we've got. We've mentioned his name a couple times on the podcast. He only had 1 catch for 3 yards, but it was a touchdown. And obviously, in a game like this, decided by 1 score, that touchdown was a big deal. And he's somebody that I'm expecting big things from him next year. He's new to us, but he's kind of getting used to our system, but he's fast, he's big, he's really physical. I think he'll be really great for us next year, and he'll continue to do good things for us this year.
Yeah, just a redshirt freshman,
Yeah.
or maybe just a true freshman, actually. Yeah.
So he's got a lot of potential. I've got 2 big takeaways from this game, which is, one, starting off with, we've showed we can win the close game, because we really haven't had a close game yet, because I think before this, our closest game, SAU, was a close game in the 4th quarter, but we still beat them 52-24, I think. And then last week was our first loss, but
it was not close.
It wasn't close. But this game, it was closer than we thought, but it was decided 31-24 OBU. So it's really good to see that in a dogfight we're going to be able to come out on top against good opponents, because Tech, they were hot and they were on a roll. So we knew. We thought it'd be more than a 7-point game, but we also knew we would have to bring our A game against them. And then also, last week, a big factor in us losing as bad as we did was because we got gashed on the ground. We allowed almost 400 yards on the ground, which is insane. Definitely our worst performance as far as run defense, but we followed it up with, I'm pretty sure, our best performance on run defense. We only allowed 63 yards on the ground from Arkansas Tech, which is insane. They only averaged 2 yards per carry, so it was really good to see. You could tell what we focused on during the week, during practice, and we were really able to bottle them up in that area of the game and give them some fits.
Yeah, 63 total rushing yards and 54 were from the quarterback. So
yeah.
Definitely. And I think that's even a better number than our performance against Northwestern Oklahoma State, where that was a complete bloodbath. But
we beat them 66-0.
Yeah, and I think they still had better rushing numbers than Arkansas Tech did. Not that that's a bad for Arkansas Tech. Not that we're dogging them, but we're just showing just how good the defense was. And some names on that defense. Dawson Miller had 11 tackles. He also had a tackle for loss. Stephen Weston, our corner, he had the lone interception last week, but he also had 10 tackles. When I was listening to the game, his name was coming up constantly because he was everywhere. He also had 2 pass deflections. Josiah Johnson has been a big name all year long. He had 10 tackles. Trey Proctor, he had not double-digit tackles. He had 8, but he did have 3 tackles for a loss, a safety turned linebacker. And then Mikey Gonzalez had a tackle for loss. So did Rovell Carter, Jalen Burks, and Jax Miller had an interception. And then Matthew Burton even got in and got a sack, the lone sack of the day. So football was great, and then we didn't even mention some other guys that were able to record some stats. Yeah. Mason Brotherton had a catch, and then so did Jeremiah Turner. I saw that catch was for a first down. So they've been consistent throughout the year, and Brotherton has definitely gotten better. But we're going to go ahead and transition. As I mentioned, volleyball had a big week. So let me set the stage for you a little bit, Zach. So on Thursday, Ouachita was going to host Oklahoma Baptist, and Oklahoma Baptist coming into this game was tied for number 2 in the conference in the standings. They were the second best team, basically, tied with Southwestern Oklahoma State. They came in to Sturgis Special. I always say special. I don't know why. Sturgis Physical Education Center, and walked away with a 4-set loss, which nobody expected. I got to admit, I thought it was going to go to 5 sets. I really did. But it was close. But Ouachita prevailed, and we got to see some serious defense. That was something. Kayla Steinmeier dominated that game. Yeah, she had 11 kills. She's kill leader for Ouachita volleyball, but she also had really 4 total blocks, 2 block assists and 3 solo blocks. And I know that we haven't done our player of the week the last couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. She's mine because just that dominant performance against such a great team, and that's not even mentioning Emily Adams, who had 16 kills. She also got a couple block assists, and so did Riley Brazil, who had 2 and then 14 kills. Haley Fairchild had 10 kills. Leah Gardner had 5 kills, 5 block assists, and a service ace. And that was just a fantastic game. And then Courtney Hansen had 52 assists. And actually coming into they had back-to-back games. Coming into their Friday game against Southern Nazarene. She was, and I think she probably not anymore, but at that time she was the Division II leader in assist. Courtney Hansen was, which was
no shy.
Yeah,
accomplishment.
she was. I think the number was 900, and she at that time at that early afternoon before the game, she was the only player in the country with over 900 assists. So that's saying something because Division II volleyball is competitive, and there's a lot of good setters out there, but at least for the moment, I think we could say that Courtney Hansen was absolute the best. I had a chance to sit down with before the volleyball game on Friday with Coach Frizz of Ouachita Volleyball, so let's take a quick listen to that.
I am joined by head coach of Ouachita Volleyball, Coach Allison Frizzell-Kaiser. Coach, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good, and I know you and your squad have to feel pretty good after that victory last night against Oklahoma Baptist here at home. That team at that time was tied for second in the conference,
right,
and you guys took that away. What does that feel? How does that make your team feel? Just that is a monumental win for the season.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, first of all, we just celebrated the win last night, because we have another game today. But last night was definitely a team win. But we couldn't have done it without the Hype Squad, which is the swim team, So it's kind of nice that they have a meet today, that some of our girls are working the meet today. But it was definitely a team win last night, so we're hoping to keep it going today.
Well, I think we got to see great performances from everybody on that Tiger team, but especially a couple performances that stood out where Haley Fairchild and Emily Adams led the way for you guys in kills. What were they seeing out there that was allowing them to be so successful?
Oh, man. They were just talking the whole time. We've really been talking about just correct communication and not just talking to talk, And so we actually had 4 girls in double-digit kills, So that was really nice that Courtney was able to spread the offense. But on the other end of that, we had 4 girls in double-digit digs as well. So that's kind of one of our highest defensive digging games that we've had in a couple years. So it was nice that we were all on the same page yesterday.
Well, speaking of Courtney Hansen, as of today, and that may not be, still the record, but she's number 1 in the country in assist as of today. And of course, not only that, but I consistently saw just how great of a leader she has been for your squad, and she's only a sophomore. How important is that for such a young player that's kind of stepped up and everybody, whether an upperclassman or lowerclassman, is listening to her?
Right. Yeah, the team actually voted for 4 captains this year, and Courtney is one of them. And it's nice that we have a young captain. Emily is the other young captain too, but for just her leading on the court vocally, one, and then of course her skill, where if she plays up, everybody plays up, So just her being a leader on the court and someone that I can talk to, coach to player, and she has a very high IQ. So the girls definitely kind of flock around that. So.
Well, one of the things I noticed, you said multiple players had double-digit digs in that game. Avery Joust was one of them, and of course, you played libero here at Ouachita, and she's playing libero now for your squad. And what were some of the things that you were and she had big shoes to fill with Lexi Castello graduating. What were some things that you told her coming into the season, big role for her to have to step into?
One thing was just again, going back to the serve, receive game, we have to be able to run our offense, so we need to make sure we're averaging over a 2-point pass. So one was passing, two was just let Avery be Avery. She can't be Lexi can't be Avery, right? So we're just letting Avery be Avery, and we kind of changed it up a little bit to where she's playing middle back half the time and left back half the time, and then focusing on her communication to the hitters and controlling the back court. So Avery last night had a career high 29 digs, and so she's buying more into that role of touch everything you can and lead the back row. So.
Well, one last question before I let you go. You guys kind of started off the conference season a little slow, but after this Oklahoma Baptist win, I think everybody's going to expect a little bit of a surge, but what are you telling your squad, the last sort of half of the conference season?
Stay disciplined. We stay disciplined defensively and offensively, more on the defensive side of the ball. We can execute our offense. And so earlier this week, we had some pretty gritty practices, where they left exhausted. And I said, you can either be disciplined and win or not be disciplined and lose. So which would you rather have, And so we just really focused on being disciplined, and we're just going to work on our side of the court. The score should take care of itself after that. But I've got high hopes for the rest of the season, and everybody's bought in. So hopefully we just continue to soar from here.
They played Southern Nazarene, and they beat them too. Southern Nazarene, they had basically the same conference record as Ouachita, but they had a much better overall record. I think they were 14-8. Ouachita was not even at they actually became 13-13 at a 500 record after this win, and it was a commanding win. Southern Nazarene really didn't look like – they played Ouachita close a few times, but they didn't look like they had their A game on. And so they lost, away in 3 sets. And kind of some of the same names we saw in that previous game.
Yep. Emily Adams had 15 kills for us. Riley Brazil with 11. Kayla Steinmeier with 10. Leah Gardner had 4 kills, but 3 service aces to go with that. And she also had 4 block assists. Courtney Hansen did her thing. She had 33 assists, and Kellen Church, she also had 4 service aces, which this game she reached her 100th service ace for her career. So shout out Kellen Church. Nice job.
Yeah, especially considering she didn't play a lot last year because she really had to compete with Brazil, Adams, and I know she doesn't play middle blocker, but even Fairchild was in there, and then some other freshmen, and even E.J. Day kind of lost her spot in the rotation because of that. And but now Church has come in this year, and she's played a consistent role to where she plays some back row, but she's there to serve.
Oh, yeah.
And she's really good at it. 100 in her career now, but that's something especially this year that you can tell that's the emphasis. But Ouachita almost hit about 30% from the floor, and they did force Southern Nazarene to have 8 more errors. But coming after that conclusion of that game, Emily Adams was named GAC Offensive Player of the Week, and no wonder she had 16 kills in 31 total kills really in 2 games, which is just outstanding. And then Leah Gardner was the co-defensive player of the week. And, she had 4 block assists in this game, and then she did some work around the net in the previous game. She's also gotten a lot better at serving. She had 3 service aces. And then Courtney Hansen was named GAC Setter of the Week. Are we that surprised? Really.
Yeah. So we're only 2 sports into the podcast, and we've already got 4 GAC Players of the Week. So.
Yeah, because Kendel Givens was also one, along with the fact that he's, now the rushing touchdown leader in Ouachita history. But so we're going to go ahead and transition into soccer. So women's soccer, they had sort of a busy week. They went to Northwestern Oklahoma State, and that was on Wednesday, and they actually tied, but it was 0-0. Not a lot to say about that. The stats are pretty much the same. Just, both teams were semi-aggressive on the offensive side of the ball, but both teams came out and played some solid defense. And so Ouachita gets another tie. Now, Ouachita they played on Saturday. This was for Senior Day, and they beat Southwestern Oklahoma State. It was a final score of 1-0, and that was off of a penalty kick by Jamie Fowler. And like I said, it was Senior Day. Fowler technically was not honored, even though this is probably her last. I think they have another home game coming up, but this is her last year with Ouachita.
Yeah.
But she's a grad student, so they honored the true seniors, and those being Michelle Snow, who is Ouachita's goalkeeper. She actually in this game was her 25th shutout of her career. But looking at some of her accomplishments, she's multiple-time All-GAC team, All-GAC tournament team, All-Region. Also has 313 career saves in 16 games and 33 wins to her name. Fernanda Valencia has 7 goals in 34 games, has 3 game winners, has been a part of the all-academic team, and has been a distinguished scholar athlete in the GAC. Sydney Perry has 3 goals in 65 games and 12 assists. She's also an all-academic teamer, as well as a distinguished scholar last season. Jocelyn Kispert, she has 10 goals, 5 assists, and 5 game winners in 67 games in her career. She's an all-academic player, GAC honorable mention twice, and then also was an all-GAC second teamer 1 year. And then Frankie 9, she has 1 career goal, and when I was doing my research, because I don't know all these numbers off the top of my head, that 1 goal was a game winner in the GAC tournament game against Oklahoma Baptist, and I think that was in 2021. And but she's a defensive player. She's a solid defensive player, and she was a GAC honorable mention. But also, she has played in 63 games and has 30 starts. So congratulations to all of those seniors, not only getting the win, but on their amazing careers. Season's not over, but still a chance for a little bit of reflection,
Yeah.
Now, men's soccer, they didn't fare as well. They went 0-2 on the week. They played at Fort Hays State on Thursday, lost 0-6. It was just their defense. They just couldn't perform as well as I think you would have expected. It is always hard playing in enemy territory, especially driving all the way up to Kansas.
That's a long drive.
But they allowed Fort Hays State to have 35 shots, 20 of them on goal, and obviously 6 went in. So, but Ouachita still did have 14 saves. So, goalkeeper working hard.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, they lost at Newman on Saturday, 0-4, and that one, the offense did not show up. Their defense was working hard, 10 saves on 23 shots by Newman. 14 of them were shot on goal, and just not a pretty loss by any mean, but they're still looking for that first win. And I have a feeling they're going to get it at some point. They're going to surprise some people.
We've been showing improvements through the season. Like early on, one of our big struggles was our foul count. When we were getting cards and stuff like that. But both of these games, we had pretty much the same exact amount of fouls as the other team. So we've really showed in that area that we can play cleaner games. And obviously, if you're playing a cleaner game, you're going to have a better chance at coming out with a win. So. That's really good. That's really encouraging to see that they've improved in that area.
Yeah, a bit more disciplined, and you're more likely to get wins that way.
Yeah.
Now, cross country, they had a strong weekend, especially with the women. So they went to their GAC Fall Championships in Russellville, Arkansas, and the women placed second out of 12 teams overall. Of course, all of these teams are GAC teams, and essentially they, at least midway through the year, because they will pick up again after I think in like the the winter, spring, whenever. They're essentially the second best team out of everybody in the GAC based off this performance alone. So they scored 62 total points, and only behind East Central, who actually dominated this weekend. They got a win with their men as well, but they had 45 points. So the top runner for Ouachita was Macy Cash. She finished the 5K, and I think she finished 4th or 5th. I don't quite remember, but she did earn first team GAC honors after this performance. That's something that the GAC did. After this championship, it only made sense that they would go ahead and award everybody based off their finish with where they sat in the GAC. And obviously Cash got first team, but so did Mackenzie Davis. She finished right behind her teammate, 6th overall in the 5K. Then we also had 3 other finishers going 15th, 16th, and 20th, respectively, earning the All-GAC second team honors. Then we had, I'll go ahead and name them off, Elise Knight, Taylor Keith, Becca Beard, Emily Castellaw, Sydney Delgado, Sarah Holman, Avery Howard, Megan Monk, Emily Payne, and Avery Womack all finished as GAC Elite Scholar athletes. And then the men, they didn't perform as well, but if they were going up against the same amount of teams as the women, their placement would look a lot better. They were right in the middle of the pack, 4th of 8 teams with a score of 90. They finished behind East Central, Oklahoma Baptist, and unfortunately finished behind Harding, even though we've actually played better against Harding in the last
We'll
couple
get them
tournaments.
back. We'll get them back later. It's okay.
But our top runner was Gabriel Greenwich, who finished 11th in the 8K, and he earned second team All-GAC honors. Whit Lawrence and Dylan Drew also finished in the top 20, and they both earned second team honors as well. And also Lawrence became a GAC Elite Scholar. Cade Swindle and Josh Tibbs became GAC Distinguished Scholar athletes after this performance as well. Now, as we had mentioned last week, OSDM was going to have this special production of a dual broadcast of swimming and volleyball. Now, we did combine the broadcast, but it wasn't exactly what we had hoped. I think the timing, swimming finished up a lot quicker than we had expected, and that's mostly because the swim and dive, the swim and dive portion was actually taking place at Delta State. Mm-hmm. And but the swimming portion was here at Ouachita, and so we didn't really get to do the split screen like we had expected. Like we had expected, but it did end up being a 4.5 hour long total broadcast. Because now it did help that Ouachita finished in 3 sets for volleyball, so that made it a little bit quicker. But look at the scores. So what was crazy about this is that Delta State's number 21 in the country for at the very least for men, and maybe overall for both squads. But the men got the win, 161 to 137.5. First win against Delta State in 12 years. Last win was in 2011. So phenomenal job by Ouachita's men. They had 9 total event winners. Tyler Andrews won the 200 freestyle, 500 freestyle. Elijah Christensen won the 100 butterfly and 200 butterfly. Jeff McCoy won the 200 backstroke and 200 individual medley. Sam Ragsdale won the 500 freestyle, 100 freestyle. Sam Ragsdale, Ian Redmond, David Ware, and James Savarese won the 400 freestyle relay. Whew. And then we also have 15 other men that finished second or third in other events. Now, the women did not fare as well, losing 93 to 206, but we did have a few winners. Kelly Holcomb won the 1,000 freestyle. Anna Phelps won the 200 butterfly and 500 freestyle. And then Dee Dee Christensen, Rachel Del Angel, Kelly Holcomb, Anna Phelps, they won the 400 freestyle relay. Now, tennis, they had a pretty solid weekend. Both the men and the women had multiple groups winning in the finals of various doubles or single events. Phil Exner and Alex Blanchard being one of that group. They did They beat Harding in the quarterfinals, Southeastern Oklahoma State in the semis, and then beat SIU in the finals of their flight. Elias Lager and Aaron Osmond also made it and won in the finals. Phil Exner made it to the finals and won in singles. Fernando Doctors made it to the finals but didn't get the win after beating Harding and SIU. Marley Bledsoe and Allie Mae for the women, they made it to the semis but lost to Arkansas Tech. And then Calderova, who's been sort of a freshman sensation for the women's tennis squad, she made it to the finals and won in singles, beating Harding, SIU, and ATU. We had Harding and SAU's number in this event. But Roxandra Telescu made it to the finals and won in singles as well after beating SAU, ATU, and Henderson State. Always great to get a win over the Reddies.
Oh, yeah.
What even is a Reddie?
Still don't know. I've been here for 3 years.
Still don't know. Who knows? Anyway, and then we have three other performers that also made it to the semifinals, but they did lose. But 2 of them actually did beat Harding. Now, looking ahead, women's soccer, as I mentioned, this is going to be a big performance because Southern Nazarene is tied for number 2 in the GAC standings. And right now, women's soccer, they've already clinched the spot in the GAC tournament, but they would love to keep that number 1 spot. But I do think only maybe 4 teams make it into the tournament. Mm-hmm. So playing number 4 over number 3 or 2 is a lot better, you know.
Right, yeah.
So remaining the top seed in the Great American Conference is definitely important. Southern Nazarene is going to challenge that, and so is Oklahoma Baptist. They're also number 2 in the GAC standings, tied with Southern Nazarene. I imagine it will change after the game on Wednesday between Southern Nazarene, so we'll see. And that's Wednesday at 3 p.m. Ouachita men's soccer, they play Southern Nazarene, who's very good, one of the top teams in the GAC. They're going to play them at home on Thursday. Ouachita football, they play Southern Nazarene, who is 4-4 on the season, 1-3 at home. So they've been a lot better away than at home, so that's kind of unusual. But that will be in Bethany, Oklahoma, on Thursday at 6 p.m. One of those weird Thursday games. Ouachita volleyball plays Arkansas Monticello in Monticello. Now, based off UAM's record, this should be a win for Ouachita.
Can't fall into the trap game.
Nope, but UAM is still looking for their first win of the season. They have 23 losses to their name, as well as 11 in the Great American Conference, 11 home losses. That's going to be Thursday at 6 p.m. Ouachita men and women swim and dive. They go to Henderson State. They don't come to us. We go to them. And the men are 2-0, and the women are 0-2. All of those games have been at home, and that's going to be Friday at 6 p.m. And then, as I mentioned, we're going to play Oklahoma Baptist in women's soccer, and that will be Saturday at 11 a.m. And then Ouachita men's soccer, they host Rogers State, also a great GAC team, and that's going to be Saturday at 1 p.m. All right, so I guess they're not GAC, they're MIAA. Anyway, so it's going to be an interesting week for Ouachita sports, especially with volleyball and with soccer, especially women's soccer. They got something interesting cooking there, and so we'll see.
Game.
Yep. So Weston was not able to join us today, but I would have asked him. I don't know if you watched the Texas game. I didn't actually watch it, though. Why would I watch Texas?
Right, yeah.
When I can watch Arkansas lose. Anyway.
Exactly.
But Quinn Ewers, their starting quarterback, he went down with an injury.
I've heard he's going to miss some time.
Yep. Is it Arch Manning's show or is it Malik Murphy's show?
I don't know. I don't know. I know Texas has an amazing quarterback room. I don't know much about Malik Murphy, but, I mean, I feel like as far as Arch Manning goes, it could be great to maybe give him some experience, I guess, before he's deemed their guy, I guess. But obviously they're still looking to compete, too. You know, they're like I think they moved up to number 7 in
I think
national
they're still
rankings.
in top 10,
so, yeah, they could. I mean, if everything falls into place, they kind of control their own destiny. They could still end up in the college football playoff if they keep winning winning their games. So, I guess we're just gonna have to trust in their coach, see if their coach makes the right decision on who to go with.
Yeah, I know Murphy had a really good spring and a good summer, and I think he kind of won that number 2 spot.
Yeah.
But because it is Arch Manning,
It's Arch Manning,
you know, that throws in. I think they just got to redshirt him,
Yeah,
and because Ewers is probably going to the draft.
yeah.
And it'll be a chance for either Murphy or Manning to compete.
Oh yeah, and Arch knows. I don't know how old Murphy is, but I know like Arch has plenty of time to play.
He's just a true freshman.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
There's no rush with the guy.
No, definitely not. Well, thank you all for tuning in to episode 9 of the Rural Rundown Sports Podcast. And actually, for episode number 10, it's going to be a little spooky. It's going to be a little spooky. We got some things dialed up. It's actually going to be a little lighter week in Ouachita sports.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's going to be, going to work hard to bring y'all something special, a little fun. And we're going to talk a little bit about Ouachita sports and then a lot about other stuff, too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just, there's not much going on. And it's Halloween week, if you haven't caught my drift.
Yeah.
It's hoping by the time that it's released, I release it on Halloween. So that will be awesome. And
We'll see what we can get cooked up for you guys.
Yeah, maybe some people won't be at a party or trick-or-treating by that time, and they're sitting watching our 40-minute podcast or something. But anyway, thank you again for tuning in to this week's edition of the Rural Rundown Sports Podcast. Tune in next week for the Halloween edition of episode 10.
Episode 10.
And that works. It's a special edition, and it's a cool number. 10.
Yeah.
10's great. Yeah, anyway.
Double digits.
Yeah, double digits. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. Stay safe. Go Tigers.